This is the thing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how any of this works. I don't know how to make a video. I don't know how to cut, splice, edit, put sound over anything. I'm 49. I've been raising kids since I was 13. My first niece was born when I was 13, and from that day forward, it became literally my imperative to make sure that none of the kids in my care ever suffered the loneliness and the confusion and the despair that I did as a child. That became my mission, but it also was and still is my salvation. It's the thing that kept me away from the worst that this world has to offer. It's the thing that saved me from myself again and again and again, because it was an imperative that was greater than my pain and my loneliness, And it's the thing that led me to realize that my loneliness was an accident. It's an accident of, it's a flaw in the system, basically. I mean, I'm lonely, and yet I know in my suffering and in my circumstances, I'm not alone at all. And the longer that I work on my inner dialogue and my programming and my wiring and the things that keep me apart, the things that keep me alone and keep me separate and ineffective and just dysfunctional to whatever extent I remain dysfunctional, those things they're human constructs that we assumed and we adopted and we accepted. Well, we didn't have any choice. It's just how we came out. By the time we were 7, we were wired. We were programmed. Our program was laid down. And then we went forward into the world to the best of our ability. That's all any of us are doing. It's all any of us have been doing since the very beginning. We've just been trying to do the right things and get approval and get love and be accepted. And the irony is that we're doing all of the exactly opposite of what we need to do in order to truly be able to connect. We're not authentic because we're trying to be what we think the world needs us to be or wants us to be or assumes or, is expecting. And so we feel disconnected. How could we feel otherwise? All of our inner drives and our voice and our heartbeat and everything feels and says and thinks, one thing, and then our outward facing, it's almost like we become a doppelganger for who we really are. I know I have a tremendously sensitive heart and soul. I'm a very sensitive person, ridiculously so. And the thing that I didn't know until it happened is that, that's not a value you can bring to the world unless it has some strength to it. You can't just be a loving, kind, sensitive person and do any good in the world. And I let that reality make me bitter. I didn't know I was doing that, but I just was, over time you warp, and there's just the constant pressure of the world and outside influences, and it warps you. That's just what happens. You're like a vinyl record left out in the sun, or anything else, a rock. The pounding of the surf and then the sand and so that's what we are. We're bodies out here in all this chaos trying to maintain some kind of order in our life. And the thing is that for a lot of us, well, we're to varying degrees we're exposed. And so, for instance, if you're a child who grew up in a family that was really dysfunctional and really fragmented, and you were not safe at home, then you were exposed to a lot more of the world at an early age than you should have been, and also than maybe some of your counterparts who will grow up and be more able to tolerate stress, more able to tolerate illness, more able to tolerate criticism or change or whatever. And there's a biological reason for that. And I didn't know that. And because I didn't know that, I blamed myself. I thought I was weak. I thought I was broken. And I know that the world thinks that I'm broken sometimes, because I don't have the same capacity for upheaval and stress and chaos as some people, because I've kind of reached my limit on some things, and like I said, this is a biological thing, this is a physiological thing, this is how we're made, how our bodies work, and you only have so much nerve until you get to the end of your nerve. And when you are burning through your nerve twice as fast as other people, or whatever, then that's a simplification, and that's okay, because I'm trying to simplify it a little bit. I learned the science behind it because I couldn't figure out how I could be so well-intentioned and so loving and so kind and still fuck up so much. Like, seriously, how do I keep fucking up everything I touch when I know where my heart is? I know what my intentions are. I know who I am and what I want in the world. I don't want to create chaos, and so I continued to think that the only thing that I was capable of doing was interacting with kids, and I'm really good at that. But, I've raised and helped raise 8, human beings, and they're all good people. But you get to a point where, you're done with that role, and then what do? You can't go raise your neighbor's kids, and, I'm 49, I'm not dead, and I'm not even close to done, So the other thing that happens is, I'm sure there are a lot of people who can relate to this. You've been doing one thing for so long, and then you look up and you go, whoa, what did I miss? That kind of happened to me, when my youngest son was about 12. He's 15. When he was about 12, I started to kind of look around, realizing that I'd kind of had my head down doing my thing for a long time. And started thinking about, what am I going to do next, And I was shocked and horrified, to be honest, because the world is a fucking mess. And we've gone backwards on a whole bunch of stuff. My youngest son's name is Lincoln, and that point was really driven home to me one day when he got in the car after school and he was frustrated because kids at school were calling him school shooter because he's white and he likes to wear black and he listens to rock music. And I thought, how is it possible that we're living in a world that sees my son as a potential school shooter? He's also, he's a sweet guy. He's not as sensitive as I am, which is good. But he's a good guy. He's a sweet guy. He's got good friends. He's got a good little friend group. He's really protective of them. He's adaptable. He's changed. He used to think that he was getting bullied, and then he realized he was kind of being a little bit of a putz, and, with some help, by his parents and not giving into it and kind of helping him to see. And we made him make friends with some kids and, that kind of thing. And he learned from it, and he's got an older brother, and he kind of, he takes that, that takes that relationship in stride. They get along really, really well. They pitch each other a little bit of crap, and I've seen how he's dealt with that. And so he's not fragile. He's not, he's not irritable, or, he's not going to snap, and, but it was just what he looked like, and it made him frustrated and resentful. And the kids that were saying that happened not to be white. And then I thought, wait a minute, this isn't okay. Where is this going to lead? Where is this going to go? We didn't name him after the car, okay? There's nothing more important than our humanity. There's nothing more important than that. That's who we are first. And that's who we will be at the end. We're humans first. The rest of this is all just a matter of degrees. It's just a question of degrees. We all started. We're all humans first. And all humans had to have started out a lot darker than me. We had to have. It just doesn't make any sense that it could be otherwise. We've evolved and we've lost pigment, And the fact of the matter is that we don't know how any of this works. We don't know what any of it means. We really don't. And we have to stop thinking that we do, because thinking that we do is what's keeping us separate. We need to just accept that none of us have a fucking clue, and we're all just doing the best that we can. And pigment is just pigment, you know? And what it comes down to is, what is your experience? And if your experience is harder because of your circumstances, then the way I think that we need to start to see this to me is, this is the way out of my prison. And I'm going to share it because it truly has been my salvation. And I suspect that the way out of our loneliness lies in an understanding of our humanity as being our most important and our first and our primary quality or attribute, or, you know, it's the core of who we are, is what I'm trying to say. If we start from there and we go forward, like, well, I kind of just decided to reverse engineer myself to figure out how I got off track as a person, so that like I have a functional life, you know, and I have a beautiful home, and, you know, I've done a lot of really good things, and I have great kids, and I've made a lot of contributions to the world, and I've grown up a lot, and I've taken responsibility for myself. I've taken responsibility for my life, my actions, my choices, my past, my history, my mistakes, and I'm open to, I welcome many new suggestions, is what I'm saying, any input, you know, but the thing is that it's a big world, and I often feel powerless. And the reason I feel powerless is because the route that I chose, the road that I chose, was to, nobody was paying me. You know, I've been raising kids. Nobody really pays you for that. And that's okay. I don't regret that. But what I realized was that was my choice, and that it led to an outcome, which was that I didn't have, you know, a lot of freedom or independence or voice or power or authority or anything, you know, when I got done, because that's just the way that it works. And so instead of going gently into, you know, my last chapter or whatever, you know, in my garden or whatever I'm going to do, I kind of got angry, because that's what happens. That's what I do when I see people being mistreated and persecuted. And that's the whole reason why I started raising kids in the first place the way that I did, is because I don't like to see people pushed around or hurt or victimized, or, you know. So the thing is that my anger wasn't serving me, and it wasn't serving the world. And so I turned it into fuel, and I started to learn, and I started to grow, and I started to change, because nobody's going to give you power. Nobody's going to give me power. Nobody's going to make your life work. Nobody. At a certain point, it's on you. It's up to you. It's all you. And when I realized that, I started seeing solutions where before I just saw problems. And the solutions now pile up in my head to the point that I couldn't possibly live long enough to realize even a quarter of them. And so what we really need is, we need like a solution co-op, you know, where we all just kind of pitch in together, and we all have ideas, and we all, then there's output by, you know, if you're capable of this, then you go do it, and, you know, like that. So that's one of the projects on my mind. But the idea is that human beings are capable. We're capable of truly anything. We really are. Human beings are extraordinary. But right now, we're confused. And we're a little misguided. And we're very much on the wrong path. We're very much going down the wrong road. We're headed for cliff. There's a cliff up ahead. I know, I've been there. I fell off that cliff a couple times. I climbed up that cliffside as a child, to get out of that pit of hell. And I'm telling you, it's not a good fall. It's not a good place. It's not a good place that we're going. And every time I come down to the bowels of the city I live in, Seattle, and bring a carload of stuff to donate, that's what I see. I donate my stuff down here, down on Harbor Island in Seattle where I live, and there are homeless encampments down here, and these people they're human beings just like you and me, but, their cards fell differently, and they made different choices, yes, but they're still human beings, and they are still doing the best that they can every day to survive. That's all we're doing. It's all any of us are doing. And some of them are criminal-minded, and some of them are honest, and some of them are caught up in their own crap, and, just like us, just like anybody, just like you and me. And some of them have been lost to drugs, that's for sure, or addiction. And the thing is that's not that much different from us either. We all have our addictions, and we all have our crutches, and we use each other as crutches, and we just maybe have chosen slightly more pro-social crutches and addictions, and so we have more support. I know, I have a little bit of family support that has saved me a couple of times when I've stumbled really hard, and I appreciate that very much. But I also acknowledge the fact that this could be me, that could be me down here, and it won't be, because I have a purpose, and I'm not going to let my kids down, and I'm not going to fail to bring forth what is in me to the world, because I really have come to believe that that's probably the only sin that there is. I think of a sin, I'm not really religious, but I think of a sin as being kind of an unforgivable thing that you can do against the collective, it's the least pro-social thing that you can do. And I thought that I was making myself into a better, stronger person so that I could find a way to bring some change that would end some suffering, that would help some people. But as I've gone along, I've realized that that's what I'm doing by bringing my life into better harmony, into better balance, into better synchronicity with the universe, because hurt people, okay? Happy people don't hurt people. Functional, effective people who are living a life that makes them feel good and validates them, and that are truly happy, don't hurt people. And so how could there be a higher calling than to find a way to live a life that fulfills you and makes you happy? If you do that, you won't hurt anybody. You won't want to. It won't occur to you. It just won't occur to you. And you will go out in the world open and willing and you'll be a balm and a positive. And so I just started thinking, what would happen if just a majority of us, just maybe 60% of us who are able, took responsibility for cleaning up our own corner of the world, cleaning up our own energetic field, our own family, and our own neighborhood. We could be living in a completely different world within a year. It wouldn't even take a year. It didn't take me a year. When I pulled my head out of my ass and stopped being an asshole, I felt phenomenal within 6 months. And I started aging in reverse, and I have all this energy, and I have this renewed passion for life. And all it took was, nothing really externally has changed in my life at all, really from the outside, but everything has changed for me. Every relationship is now an open two-way street, and I feel like I can say what I'm really thinking and feeling because I know that that I'm okay exactly the way that I am, and that if I if I fuck up, I want somebody to tell me so that I can see it and learn from it and not do it again. And if I know I fucked up, I will absolutely own it and accept it, because I'm not afraid of it, because it doesn't make me into a bad person. I know that now. I see that that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It just means that I fucked up. And I really think that that's all it takes. It sounds really stupid and simple, and I've been driving myself literally crazy trying to figure out a sexy way to say it, because I so badly want to get this message across that it's not this hard, people. It's not this hard. We're making it way harder than it needs to be. It really is not this hard. We got off on the wrong track because we were conditioned by people who were conditioned by people who were conditioned by people. And it's always been about trying to exert control. And I'm not saying that I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm just saying that's just kind of a natural, this is the thing. We live in a chaotic world. If we didn't naturally want to bring some kind of order, there'd be something wrong with us. So as human beings, we're trying to bring some kind of order. That's what art is about. And that's what all of our studies are. That's what everything is about, is trying to bring some order to the chaos. We know that we live in a chaotic universe. And I mean, on a fundamental level, it's a chaotic universe. There's chaos everywhere, and we know that. All around us, in the space in between us. And so it's only natural that we try to bring some order. But it gets out of control because that's what happens, That's just... So we got off on the wrong road because we lost our understanding of who we are, as we're natural beings. And we live in a natural world, and we're subject to natural laws. We're not exempt from them. We're not above them. We're not below them. We're not separate from them. We're subject to them. We're violating the fuck out of them. We're breaking natural laws all over the place, and we're suffering the consequences, and we're going to suffer more if we don't stop in our tracks, take a look at what we're doing, and correct our course and correct our actions. That's all there is to it. We have to do exactly the same thing as a collective that I did as an individual, and that is we have to stop and say, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I doing it? Okay. That doesn't make sense. I'm not going to do it anymore. It's not working. I'm not going to do it anymore. And then we have to have the courage to do what we should. And it's really hard sometimes. And then other times it's really easy. And then after a while, it literally becomes an imperative. And I believe that if there were enough human beings in the world who were in love with life and who felt like powerful, sovereign human beings, that there's no way that corruption could grow and no way that evil could grow, because we wouldn't let it. Because there would be enough of us that the balance would shift and the path of least resistance would become one of good and love and order and function, and we would go back, we would protect our young, and we would love and care for our old, and the world would feel better. And when the world felt better, we would do better. I just really think it's that simple. I just think that it's gotten so big, and there are people who are saying the right things, but I just think that there are so many people saying the right things and so many people saying other things, and nobody knows who to listen to. And I guess that's why we need to get really basic. Just really, really basic. Like, what is the bottom line? What is the absolute core and the truth? Reduce. That's what I do when it comes to words or anything. That's what I did with myself. Like, reduce this, reverse engineer this shit all the way back as far as you possibly can. And where that led me was to the basic core of who we are and the world that we live in, and what laws are not negotiable, and just start there. And with the internet now, it's possible to learn anything that you want to learn, and it is possible to find out what makes you tick, what makes your brother tick, what makes your spouse tick. It is possible to get along with anybody. It is. Because I live with my ex-husband, and I have for 12 years. We share a house, and we raise our kids together. And we've been quarantined together, and I've had a boyfriend during that time, and he's a type A controller, and I'm a little bit of a wild woman, and I've been angry and acting out, and he's been bitter and acting out, and we've fallen on our faces, and we just keep getting up because we love our kids. And I don't want to screw up my kids. And I don't want you to screw up your kids either. And I don't think you want to either. But once I do, then we start to hate ourselves. It's just this vicious cycle. So I just think that there's a way out of this. I don't think it's that hard. And I'm going to force myself to do this thing that makes me really uncomfortable, this talking thing, which I was not encouraged to do as a child, to say the least. I'm 49. I have no letters behind my name. I have no position of authority or reason why anybody should listen to me, but I do know that I've put my own life in order, and I know what it feels like, and I know what my life started to look like from my own eyes. And that's a truth that nobody can take away from me. And I know who it makes me in the world, and I know that it's not hard, and I know that anybody can do it. All you have to do is stop lying, start doing the right things, put down your judgment because you realize that you're not perfect and you don't have any right to judge. Accept and love, and don't do anything that spreads hate. Clean up your messes, clean up your family, clean up your energy. And I know that we can fix everything that's broken, because I did in my life, just by correcting my own actions. So I know it's possible, and the information's out there. And I want to return to a loving world because I'm a loving person, and some of my favorite people are angry with me because of the color of my skin, and I understand that, but going away from love is not going to solve anything. And becoming more divided, more separate is not going to help anything. So I'm here, and I'm in the fight to return us to harmony and peace, and we can do it.